don't want what we know out there.
How a person can go from really almost nothing to becoming a millionaire by owning rental properties.
He would always buy these flip houses, and I just remember thinking, this guy is crazy. Why would he buy that house?
In the past decade, there's been a huge surge in the peer-to-peer short-term rental market.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get the game.
Every second counts. So make every second count.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam. Whether you're just beginning or the best of the best, we're glad you're here. We will share successes, failures, and strategies for the action-taking real estate investor. And now to your hosts, JD, Annabel, and Melissa.
Hey guys, welcome to the Real Estate Jam podcast. I'm JD and I'm here alone today, but that's because I just got back from the John Martinez REI Sales Academy 2-day boot camp workshop. Me and Melissa went out there to get some new skills, to work on our skills, all the acquisition stuff. And my plan was to come back and do a review of that event and talk about some of the highlights and stuff. And I might get into that in a later episode. I kind of want to have that discussion when Melissa's available, but she's still out in Dallas. So today I thought, since it's just me, I wanted to take a few minutes to go over some of the questions. I just picked a few of the questions off of some of our social media and stuff that I've seen more often than not, and are some of the questions that we get a lot of times from the newer guys in real estate investing and stuff. But before I get into those three questions, I just wanted to take some time to genuinely thank you for listening to our show. I know you could be spending your time doing a lot of other things, and you probably have much more important things you could be doing. I really appreciate you guys listening to us. I do ask though that if you're receiving any type of value from this podcast, if you could please go like and review, give us a review on wherever platform you're listening on. And if you want to pop over, like our Facebook page and give us some comments over there. That's also a really good place. If you have any specific real estate questions that you need answered, you could go on there and ask them, and I'll make sure to find an answer, get it to you, or put it out in a podcast like this. But again, we really appreciate you guys being here. So we'll just get into it. One of the questions I see all of the time is, where do you find your buyers? How do you build your buyers list? And I think that's a pretty good question for obvious reasons. A lot of our mentors that we first started learning from were of the opinion you should always find your buyer first. And I generally agree with that line of thinking. I don't think it's always plausible, or it's always the way that you have to do it. And I don't think it's kind of a pipe dream to expect that it's always going to be like that. There's a lot of times where we get one or two off the wall properties that we never even had a buyer looking for that kind of property. And so I think it's a little naive to think that you're always going to have your buyer first. But if you can, I think that's a really great way to do it. So where do we find our buyers? Believe it or not, this sounds super simple, but the majority of our legitimate buyers list were people that contacted us when we listed a property we had under contract on Craigslist, which that seems like an obvious answer, but a lot of people aren't doing that. They're marketing to their lists specifically. But what I found on Facebook, when you start putting a property out there, or you ask, hey, who's a cash buyer in these markets, or who's buying properties, who's a real estate investor, you'll get 45 or 50 people dumping their emails in there. But really the percentage of those guys that are actual buyers, I think is a lot less than other places. The difference is, when we put our stuff up on Craigslist, that's somebody actively looking for a property that fits the description of the property that we put on there. Now, I've heard about other people doing ghost postings where they just take a random picture of a house, put a description up there and post it, and then collect people that way. I think that's definitely possible. I think that people are actually seeing good results with that. I don't necessarily agree with that strategy. I think it's a little bit disingenuous, and we try to operate our business operating out of a place of integrity all the time. So if you're, I know that it works. And if that aligns with your ethics and morals, that's on your own plate. That's something that you have to deal with. It doesn't necessarily identify with mine, but what we will do is put our properties that we actually have under contract up there, and we'll get buyers from it. We've gotten a lot of buyers, a lot of legitimate buyers who've bought multiple times coming off of those lists, and very few. When we talk about total people on the list versus how many is buying, almost every single one of the Craigslist people that contacts us and reaches out is a legitimate cash buyer. We also make sure that in our marketing pieces, when we're sending out our marketing message that has like, hey, a single family home, 2-bedroom, 3-bath, whatever, when we send that out to our email list, we also put a link in there that links back to our buyers list website page, so that and we say, hey, if you have a friend that would like to see this, please forward it to them. So we've picked up a lot of legitimate buyers for our buyers list from other investors on our list, forwarding the information to them, and then them signing up on our buyers list. That's another thing that we like to do. I guess this next question, this is one that I get a lot of pushback on when I answer this question in a lot of the online forums, and when some of the different real estate investor communities have people asking this question. And I think it's probably a little bit for the way that I write it and the kind of the tone of my response. But this question, it kind of gets to me, and I hear it all the time. And that question is, what would you do if you had $5,000 to invest? Or if you had $10,000 to invest in real estate, where would you do it? Or sometimes the question sounds like, I just inherited $30,000. Where should I invest it? Or what would you do if you sold your house and had $250,000 cash to invest? The answer that I like and that everybody seems to get is if you're asking me, JD, what is the best thing I can do with my hard-earned money? My answer is always going to be, you should give me your money and let me invest it for you, because I'm experienced and I'm practiced in this. That's what's best for you, and I know. Right. And the problem is, people ask this question online, and then people come in the comment section and answer in some form of that. And I don't necessarily think that they're providing real answers. Now, if somebody really wants to reach out and invest with our company, I'm going to do that. But the problem is, I'm not jumping out there saying, hey, pick me. You need to give me your money so that I can invest it for you. The answer that I always give these guys, whether it's $10,000, $30,000, $250,000 that they have to invest, if you have to go on social media to ask, the answer is you shouldn't be investing it, right? The answer is, if you have to come on social media and ask what to do with X number of dollars, it means that you're not educated enough yet to be investing. It means that you haven't figured out who you are as an investor. And I think I did a podcast before about how to establish your investor identity. That's where we should be referring these people to. We should be referring them back to, hey, figure out what works best for you. But instead, we get different versions of, let me invest that money for you, or you should give that money to me. What that sounds like in the comment section is, hey, I'm a real estate agent in X area. DM me and I'll put you on my list. You should buy a house here. Or some other version of that, or here's the course is one that really grinds my gears a little bit. Um, I guess what I'm trying to get at is there's a lot of people out there that aren't really sure what to do, and so they're looking for an easy answer. Now, that might not be it all the time, because sometimes people might be asking that question to evaluate the responses so they know where to start looking, and that's very valid. But there's tons of free resources. So really, if somebody's asking what they should be doing, I think if you took 250 bucks and bought a bunch of real estate investing books off of Amazon, you'd be further ahead than asking a bunch of random dudes in a Facebook group where you should put your money. Because majority of the time, that answer is going to be, you should put that money in my pocket, which is okay. I'm not saying I believe in passive investing. We have passive investors, people that lend us money out of their pocket. We invest in our deals and then pay them a rate of return, and that's good for them. I guess my point is if you don't know what you should be investing in, it means you need to learn a lot more. And I think because of my tone, people tend to take a little bit of a defensive posture on that, but really, what I'm saying is you have to educate yourself, and you have to build a group of trusted people that you go to ask these kinds of questions, because reaching out to a random person on the internet that you don't know if they have a track record, you don't know if it's all 250 of the same guy catfishing you the whole time, you don't know any of that kind of stuff. So why would you go to a random group on the internet and ask for help? If you've established a relationship with these people, that's a different thing. I'm in a bunch of different online groups that I trust and value the opinion of those people, but that's over the course of years, building a relationship, seeing what they're doing, talking to them on the phone, having them on the podcast, developing relationships with these guys before I value their opinion. And even after I have that relationship, I don't just blindly ask those kind of questions and not do the research and the follow-up research on that. The last thing that I'll say, I think probably about that question is, if you're somebody, I'm sure if you guys are into real estate, you've seen that question a lot. You may have even asked it yourself. But nobody in any of those groups can give you it's an unfair question to ask, really, because nobody in any of those groups can give you an accurate answer if they don't have about 30 other questions to ask you to figure out. I can't tell you what's best for your money or for you to do with your money, because I don't know who you are. I don't know your strengths or your weaknesses. I don't know what your skill set is. I don't know what your other resources are. Is this $5,000 and it's your very, very last $5,000 and you don't have anything else? Or do you have, $1 million in other real estate saved up, or equity someplace else? If I don't know you and I don't know your situation, then it's very, very difficult for me to give you advice that you should actually accept. And I think there's a dude that has a podcast, Epic Real Estate Investing podcast, Matt Terrio. I think he says that like everything in every real estate question answered the same way with it depends. It depends on the situation, and for what should I do with X number of dollars, or what market should I invest in? It always comes back to, I need to know who you are in order to give that information. Do you want to be an active investor? Do you want to be a passive investor? Are you looking for multifamily, single family? What risk tolerance do you have? All of these things are super important. And for all those reasons, I know that if somebody's coming onto a social media platform and asking those questions, they need to be sent to the library, or they need to be sent to Bigger Pockets or some other free information course that they can learn how to ask those right questions. And that one gets me a little fired up, because I see a lot of younger, newer people that come into money and they're being given bad advice, or people are trying to take advantage of them. And it's really easy to be taken advantage of when you're not in this environment every day and you don't see that there are people there acting like vultures ready to swoop in on somebody who's not quite as experienced. Okay, so the last question that I have, and that I've seen a lot, and this one also, the answer to this one could also be, it depends. The question is, how do we determine which marketing strategy works best for a new market, or for this market, or for what market? What marketing, the answer is really is it depends, but the marketing strategy, the marketing strategies that's going to work the best for you in your market is the marketing strategy that you work and that you're consistent with. So it doesn't matter, there's a million different ways to market for properties. There's word of mouth referrals, there's bandit signs, direct mail, cold call, text message, billboards, radio, TV ads, newspaper ads, internet ads, pay per click, SEO, all that kind of stuff. It'll all get you deals. But what you're looking for is which one works best. Again, go back to it depends. We need to know what your budget is, what your risk level is, and all of these things first. And the real answer to that question, how do you find out which marketing strategy works best in your market? You find out by testing, right? So you need to pick a marketing strategy. In our company, when we decide on we're going to introduce a new marketing strategy, we automatically 100% commit to it to at least 90 days. And really, some marketing strategies you're probably going to need to commit to for a lot longer than that. Now, we haven't done every marketing strategy, but text messaging, we committed to it at first for 90 days. Direct mail, we committed to it for 90 days. Cold calling, we did commit to it for 90 days. Now, all of those things, all of those marketing strategies worked for us. And so we've continued to do those marketing strategies past the 90-day mark. There's other strategies that maybe don't work as well. But if you don't commit to it to a certain amount of time, you don't have the data to know. And so what you have to do is you commit to these different. First, I would recommend going deep on one marketing strategy before you spread out. But once you've gone deep on that one, you move on to your next one. You continue to do your main flow of leads, but you start doing another one. And once you get a sufficient pool of data on that one, now you can compare the two. Which one's giving you more bang for your buck? What's your highest ROI? Is it coming out of direct mail? Or is it coming out of text messaging? Is it coming out of text messaging or cold calling? And you just go through it. And then as you compile that data, you'll be able to see which marketing strategy works best for you. And what I'll say is that not every marketing strategy is going to work the same in every market for every person, or even in the same market for two different companies. If my sales process is different than my competitor's sales process, I might be better suited to direct mail. It's kind of a slower, longer, more drawn out sales process than any of the pay-per-click internet sales. If you're a small one-person company and every time somebody clicks to call your phone number from some sort of pay-per-click ad, and it rings directly to your cell phone and you're able to answer it right away, well, you're going to have a better chance at closing more of those internet deals than I do, where my leads go to an automatic answering service. So I guess what I get back to is it does depend, how do I decide what marketing strategy works best in what market? The answer is you have to try them all for a specific amount of time, and you have to track your KPI, your key performance indicators. You have to know how many touches went out or how many impressions went out versus how many leads came in, how many leads turned into appointments, how many appointments turned into contracts and how many of those contracts close. And then after you have a good data pool to look at, you can go in and you can compare them at that point. But short of that, you're not going to see it. So if you're a brand new investor, and that's who was asking this, they're asking, how do I know which one that I should use? Because new investors have limited resources, and really they don't have limited resources, but they have limiting beliefs that limit their resources. And so they want to know, where do I get the most bang for my buck? And I'm always going to say that when you're first starting out, you have more time than you have money, then you need to spend more time. So maybe that's putting out bandit signs, or maybe that's personally cold calling. But regardless of what that strategy is that you choose to do when you're first starting out and you're looking to find the best marketing strategy available, what I know is that you have to show up, and you have to do the work, and you have to be consistent. And if you're not consistent with it, then you're not going to see consistent results. Whether those results are good or bad, if you're not consistent, you're not going to see that trend. And so you won't be able to make that good decision. I think everything works and nothing doesn't is another quote from one of these real estate gurus that are smarter than me. And I really believe that. If you stop marketing, you stop getting leads. So whatever you decide to do, go all in on it. Push it to the max. You're not going to know unless you actually do it. And then once you've been doing it for a while, you can pull back and look at the data and really assess, is this something that's gonna make me money, or is this something that is costing me more money to do, and more money or more time or whatever? And I think that's really the only way to decide which marketing strategy. Of course, you can ask other people in the market, but their skill sets are going to be different than yours. And so what works for them may not work for you. The most important thing, though, is to take that massive action of marketing in whatever way it is, making those steps towards your goals, because you're going to get deals doing that. And every deal that you get gives you another paycheck that gives you a little bit more you can market, which gives you more deals that makes you can market more and more. And you can slowly start to build your business up that way. But if you don't ever start that marketing piece, if you're stuck in social media groups asking, hey, how do I know which marketing piece is going to be the best? By the time you've asked that question, somebody who's taking action has already put out 150 bandit signs and is getting phone calls. So massive action, key to all problems. Every real estate question can be answered in it depends. If you have to ask what to do with your money, it means you're not ready to do anything with it. And on a side note, if you're asking, just, hit me up and I'll take it for you. Don't waste your time with those other gurus, or be smart about it. Hold on and start educating yourself. That's all I got for today. Thank you guys for listening. If you like the podcast, drop us some likes on our Facebook page and give us a review. Hope you guys have a great night.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Jam. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information, check out our website, therealestatejam.com, or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Real Estate Jam. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at therealestatejam@gmail.com. See you next episode.